Steelers Nation, here we go again, man. We got another wide receiver actively being shopped on the trade market. This time it is Raiders All-Pro wide receiver Davante Adams.
And thus, here we are on the emotional roller coaster that we're about to go down once again. We all know how we were about the whole Brandon Ayuk situation. And the Steelers were very close on acquiring that individual. Ultimately, it didn't happen. But Steelers have a second chance, I would say, about Davante Adams right here.
Yeah, I'll be real with you. After the Ayuk debacle, after the entire Ayuk shenanigans ended, my immediate thought was, okay, who can we trade for next? I'm not going to lie to you. That's just how we are as Steelers fans, okay? We need wide receiver help. Who can we trade for next? Davante Adams was easily one of the heavy favorites to come to our mind immediately for a lot of Steelers fans, us included.
And keep in mind, 4 weeks in, the only primary target we have is obviously George Pickens.
There is no one else.
We knew that heading into the regular season, and 4 weeks in, nobody has really stepped up.
I mean, Calvin Austin had a great game a couple weeks ago
Against Denver.
So that's it. He had a great game.
That was the Chargers, my fault.
Yeah, but I wouldn't anticipate him to have games like that consistently. Van Jefferson is not a good receiver too.
No.
He's not really even a good depth piece at this point, man. He's done absolutely nothing. Roman Wilson hasn't played a single down yet.
And honestly, at this point, I don't know when, because Tomlin is very stubborn on playing his rookies, especially when they haven't played one bit yet. But it goes to show the Steelers need some impact players on the offense.
They need wide receiver help. We need a wide receiver. We need another one. And we need Justin Fields to have a secondary weapon in the wide receiver group. He doesn't have that. All he has is Pickens. No one else can get open. No one else can make plays, or at least consistently. You can anticipate at least one big play or two from Pickens every single game. We've seen it every single game. There's been opportunities there. Everyone else hasn't capitalized. We don't have that guy. So when the idea of the Steelers potentially getting another wide receiver that is actively being shopped in the trade market, yeah, a lot of us as fans are going to flock to that idea, especially since this one is very likely. Davante Adams clearly is not happy in Las Vegas. He hasn't been happy in Las Vegas pretty much ever since his first year.
Yeah, in his first year, I mean, it was a wild blockbuster trade. You know, it sent the NFL world crazy back in 2022 when it was announced that the Packers are trading Adams to the Raiders for first and second round picks respectively. And it made sense because Adams was then paired with his old Fresno State quarterback, Derek Carr, who was the Raiders quarterback at the time. You know, the pairing made sense. It was a match made in heaven. And when they played in 2022, it's like the duo never skipped a beat back from their college days.
Sure.
It worked out. And Adams since then has lived up to the contract he got, which was a 5-year, $141.25 million contract he was given. And just back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons, and he's been available for pretty much every game. Adams has been exactly what the Raiders have heavily invested in. The Raiders team and coaching, however, has been underwhelming. It's been awful.
They have failed. The coaching has failed. They have no quarterback. They got rid of Derek Carr
after Adams' first year in 2022. So Adams was pretty much in 2023 last year left in the dust.
Dude,
for Jimmy Garoppolo.
And now he has Gardner Minshew as his quarterback. I mean, we're talking about backup quarterbacks here. Like, I feel bad for Adams. He got traded, and he thought he was going to have this honeymoon phase. You know, everything was going right in the Raiders organization. No. They relied on Josh McDaniels as their head coach for a year and a half, and they got rid of the GM that traded for Adams. It's like everything's revolving around the Raiders and Adams and the partnership that was there. That was only there for like a year. And now we're in a situation where Davante Adams has officially requested a trade. He would prefer to be traded away from the Las Vegas Raiders.
And
he wants out.
Can you blame him?
And honestly, this comes to no shock because everybody can see that he is not happy there. Deshaun Jackson, just a couple of weeks ago, right before the regular season even started, was on the herd, and he said he talked to Davante Adams and said he's not happy. And now, 4 weeks into the regular season, he has officially asked to be traded. And first of all, the Raiders themselves have been hinting that they are going to look out and ask teams what they would offer to gauge interest and to gauge offers to see what the interest rate is at, see where his market is in the trade block.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, Schefter tweeted out a report where he stated that the Raiders have informed other teams that they would consider, quote unquote, trading away Davante Adams for a package that would include a second-round pick and additional compensation.
I don't know if they're going to get that because we're going to get into it, but first things first, he is 31. He'll be 32 come Christmas Eve this year. And yes, his contract is bulky. We'll get into more details there, but it seems like the Raiders, they've been insinuating that, yeah, players have made business decisions, and we're going to make business decisions regarding those same players. That's what Antonio Pierce has been hinting at. And I don't know if this is true or not, but there was reports going around Instagram or whatever that Antonio Pierce liked a post regarding the idea of trading Davante Adams.
That was on Instagram. And this morning on Up and Adams, he was a guest on K Adams' show this morning. She asked Adams about the situation. And Adams said that Pierce has not come to Adams about it. He has not talked to him about it, and apparently there is no communication within anybody from the team and the organization.
And just hours later, he tells the Raiders he prefers to be traded. Now,
it's a mess in Las Vegas.
It is, man. It's just get him out of there. So yeah, he will be traded. I don't see how this relationship remains. It's a broken marriage. Like, just file the papers and sign the dotted line, bro.
After everything that's happened, the falling apart with the coaches and not having his quarterback there, him leaving after a year, and then this situation with permanent head coach Antonio Pierce and just how the season's been going thus far. Keep in mind, they got blown out by an Andy Dalton Panthers-led team in their own stadium.
Yeah. They're not good.
It doesn't look too good.
So I feel like this is a golden opportunity for the Steelers to get a second chance at acquiring an all-pro elite wide receiver when we need wide receiver help to the max.
And yes, even at his age.
Yes.
Him almost being 32. Davante Adams is obviously one of the best receivers in the NFL today, probably of all time.
He has been for going on, 7-8 years now? He has been phenomenal.
His work ethic is unmatched. It's undeniable. His play is undeniable. His impact is absolutely seen on that field.
Yes.
Despite what quarterback's throwing him the ball, Adams has huge impact. And that's what the Steelers are missing on the offense.
And you know what else he has? He has route running ability. He has separation.
He has hands.
None of our receivers really have that. Pickens has that to a degree, but not on the level of Davante Adams. We don't have other receivers that can create separation. We don't have receivers that can get open. Fields is in the pocket, looking around, no one's open. We can get someone that can get open. And he loves to throw the ball deep. He loves to sling the football. He is more confident with slinging the ball week by week with the Steelers.
Yeah.
So this is a golden opportunity, a second chance at life, essentially, for the Steelers to bring life to the wide receiver room, to give Justin Fields an elite target, to open up the playbook, to open up the possibility of the offense. This would only make this offense so much stronger. And this is an offense that is progressing week to week. The quarterback, Fields, is progressing week to week. Pickens is making plays every single week.
And just the opportunity for Adams to come into an environment, a team that is looking to win, looking for a championship, right? A head coach that everybody wants to play for. An organization that just welcomes everybody with open arms. That is what Adams needs. He needs to be out of Las Vegas.
Now, with that being said, the Steelers are clearly not going to be the only team involved. Now,
of course.
The Raiders, they have reached out to teams. There's a report that the Raiders have reached out to teams to gauge interest. So that's interesting. I would imagine the Steelers would be one of those teams they reached out to because the Steelers have the capital. They have the necessity at wide receiver. And, I mean, the Steelers and Raiders have tons of wide receiver history.
Yeah, the Martavis Bryant trade, the Antonio Brown trade, that history.
Yes.
It's there.
It is there, especially with Mark Davis as their owner still. So they have that history. So could they do it again? I would hope so. Omar Khan was incredibly close to acquiring Brandon Ayuk. That day he signed the contract, signed that extension, John Lynch and company told him either you sign the deal now or you go to Pittsburgh.
Yep.
He signed the deal. Omar Khan had him. He was right there. Brandon Ayuk pulled out at the last minute. This is another opportunity. This is a great opportunity. Now, clearly the Steelers and Omar Khan aren't going to be the only team that are going to be within the sweepstakes for Davante Adams. There will be the Jets because of Aaron Rodgers.
That's obvious. And dating back to last year, because there was trade speculation on Adams last year before the deadline.
Yes.
that the Jets were heavily involved and they were calling almost every day because
Wow.
they wanted A-Rod and Davante to come back together because
now that worries me.
who wouldn't want to see that, right?
Now that worries me.
And obviously, A-Rod's fully healthy and they could use another wide receiver.
And they have the necessities to trade for Davante Adams.
Of course,
they're
the Jets.
They have the you're right. They have the picks. They're more desperate than probably any other team in the league at this point, and they have Hassan Reddick to trade if they wanted to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because they traded for him and aren't going to give him an extension. Otherwise, it would have happened already.
No, Hassan Reddick's visibly frustrated.
And he wants out. So
Yeah.
the Jets have all the tools right now. They have all the values to give the Raiders for Adams. But that's where Omar Khan needs to come in, and he needs to make a strong offer. And I am pressuring Omar Khan to get this done because as a Steelers fan, we need wide receiver help. I am desperate for it. And Davante Adams to Pittsburgh, man, just makes a lot of sense. It really does. And to be real with you, the Steelers can afford it. For the first time probably ever, the Steelers can afford to make a blockbuster trade like this where they can get a guy like Adams, they can bring him in to upgrade the offense immediately, and they can afford him. They can afford his contract. Now, regarding his contract, that's going to come in a lot of ways. Money is going to be a huge factor in terms of where he wants to go, where his final say is, and what the team's going to give up.
Of course.
The Raiders, like Rob stated, want a second-round pick and other compensation. I don't know if they're going to get that because Adams is going to be 32, and you look at his next 2 years of his contract. The cap hits are high, but even this year, whoever trades for Adams is still going to have to fully guarantee the remaining of his guaranteed salary this year, which currently stands as of now at 13.5. That could go down $1 million each week as the season goes on.
And you got to keep in mind the trade deadline isn't until November 5th, which I believe is around week 9 or after week 9, whatever week that is.
We have an entire month.
So I don't think Adams. I think Adams gets traded. I don't see how he sticks around with the Raiders after everything.
No,
I think he's gone. I don't think the trade happens immediately, though. The Raiders are going to weigh their options, and they're going to see what the best offer is out there.
Yeah, because they have an entire month to process this, and the Steelers definitely aren't going to make a trade with the Raiders immediately because they play the Raiders after the Cowboys. I don't think the Raiders want to go up against Davante Adams. So this isn't going to be something that's going to happen tomorrow or next week. This is probably going to be dragged on. It's going to wait until the official deadline.
Maybe even the day of the deadline.
Right. But, with weeks and what Rob stated, years of trade talks, a year of trade talk regarding the Jets and the Raiders or the Steelers and the Raiders, that's where those talks can pick right back up where they left off.
Exactly.
And that could lead to a deal. The Steelers, what they would offer, what I would hope they would offer, is a third rounder. I think any team that would trade for Adams should trade nothing higher than a third. Because at this stage of his career, he is going to be 32 years old towards the end of the season. So he's not getting younger. He's on the bottom half of the wide receiver age, in his 30s. And he has 2 years left in his contract after this year.
Yep.
And again, the money is going to come in because you look at the cap hits for Davante Adams the next 2 years. You're looking at, in 2025, he has a $44.1 million cap hit. In 2026, he has a $45.1 million cap hit. That is a lot.
It's a lot of money.
That is huge. However, none of that is guaranteed.
No, zero.
So when I say money is going to come into a massive factor, it is because Adams isn't going to go somewhere where they won't pay him the following year. So whatever team is going to trade for Adams, they will rework that deal where the money fits for Adams and the team. So for this, let's use the Steelers, for example. The Steelers could trade for Adams. They could easily give him a new contract. They could rework that contract to maybe lower the cap number and give him guarantees.
And Omar Khan's no stranger to doing so.
No, he did that with Dante Jackson just this past season.
Yeah. He's no stranger to reworking contracts or working guaranteed money and whatnot.
Dude,
he did it before he became the GM.
That's how he became the GM, because he's a cap wizard.
Yeah.
So, and the Steelers were going to make a blockbuster trade for Ayuk and pay him however much they were going to pay him. So Adams, they're not going to shy away from it because they can afford it. The Steelers have a golden opportunity to get Adams here, and I don't think it should be worth more than a third rounder.
No, but the opportunity to get better, to get a star in Davante Adams, especially at the wide receiver position, where it's a necessity, it's needed, and we need that impact on offense, the Steelers will not shy away from it. Omar Khan will not shy away from it. He will look at the situation, and he will try his best to make sure it happens. He tried with Ayuk. I have no doubt he will try with Adams.
Yes. Otherwise, if they don't get this trade done, because I do believe currently right now there are discussions. I feel like there have been discussions for months now. There was a report months ago that the Steelers reached out to up to 6 teams for wide receiver help. That included the Niners, obviously, about Debo and Ayuk going as far back as the draft.
Yep.
With the Broncos, which shut them down immediately because they weren't trading Cortland Sutton. I think the Seahawks were one of them. And apparently the Raiders. So this is months of discussion. And now that's going to be resumed here as this Davante Adams trade talk is intensifying, and it's only a matter of time. It's going to be within the month. It's going to happen. There's no way the Raiders and Davante Adams remain together.
No, and it's funny because back when McDaniels and Dave Ziegler were fired last year, Davante stated countless times that he wants to be a Raider, so he's trying to make this work and do whatever he can to keep it going. I'm sure that is very true.
Right.
Adams has tried his best to remain a Raider, to stick with the team, to trust the process, but the process is failing, and it will continue to fail because the Raiders organization, they don't know what they're doing. They have not known what they are doing for years.
Mark Davis and his stupid haircut has no idea what he's doing.
No. He tried the John Gruden experiment, and Mike Mayock, that obviously didn't work.
Oh, my God.
They moved to Las Vegas, which I still don't know why. I don't get that. Then he tried Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler, fired him a year and a half after they signed. Now he's trying this Antonio Pierce experiment, it doesn't look that bright.
Just get him out of there. And look at it this way. If somehow the Raiders and Adams can rekindle and remain for the remainder of the season, which I doubt, but let's say, for example, they do. They have an opt-out option next year where they would cut him, release him because there's no guarantees after next year in his current contract, and they would suffer only a $15.7 million dead cap hit. That's it. Now, if they were to trade him, they would suffer the same dead cap hit while saving some money this year.
Yeah.
So they would suffer a similar dead cap effect, but get something out of him. So it makes sense for the Raiders to get rid of him because
by trading him,
no matter what, this is going to be his final year in Las Vegas. It's going to be.
And keep in mind, you mentioned the Jets were a team heavily looking to possibly acquire him, which is still very well possibly the case. Another team that has been talked about all over social media from various analysts have been the Chiefs. Obviously, the Raiders' rival.
That makes no sense.
Would the Raiders? It wouldn't make sense for the Raiders to trade him away, but it also would not make sense for the Raiders to release Adams, only for the Chiefs to try to acquire him as a free agent.
That would be the dumbest thing because that's exactly where Adams would go, and then the Raiders would literally strengthen their rival. It's the dumbest thing.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of just trade him now, suffer a similar dead cap effect, but get something out of him while you still can.
Yeah, make sure he doesn't become a Kansas City Chief because nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to see the Chiefs become stronger based off Rashee Rice suffering an injury.
Yeah, no, we're not doing that. It's bad enough the Bills gave the Chiefs Xavier Worthy in the first round. We're not doing that.
If the Raiders did that, they'd be the most hated franchise of all time.
Yeah, I know.
More than the Cowboys.
So when you look at the possibilities or the potential destinations for Davante Adams, the Jets are number one because they have the resources to trade and they have Aaron Rodgers. Enough said.
Yeah.
I would say the Steelers are number two because they have history. They have had talks for months. I do believe that. And clearly the Steelers need a wide receiver. And I hate to say it, I'd even say the Ravens are a top potential destination because they need receivers.
Potentially. Hell, I'll throw the Saints out there. You know, Derek Carr's still over there. David Ziegler, I think he's an advisor for them. So, I mean, that pairing makes sense there. And the Saints, I mean, why would they shy away from another wide receiver?
Dude, imagine Derek Carr throwing to Davante Adams in a Clint Kubiak offense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a possibility. You're just throwing another team out there.
That honestly, you know what? That might jump up into the top 3 because that's out of conference.
It is.
Granted, the Raiders, they have nothing to fear in the conference because they're not going to be anything in the conference going forward. But regardless, that would probably be a motive for trading him over there if they desire to.
Yeah, but it goes to show that, yes, various and multiple teams are going to be reaching out to the Raiders, and the Raiders are going to be reaching out to them.
This ultimately might be a bidding war.
With Davante Adams, absolutely.
Because we have an entire month until the deadline. And this might be a decision where Davante Adams gets to choose where he wants to go because, again, look at his contract. Whatever team acquires him is going to have to pay him the remainder of his guarantee this year, which the Steelers can afford, by the way. But he has no guarantees in his next 2 years. So whatever team trades for him will have to rework the contract. He's not going to go to a team this season and not get a new contract and not get some guarantees from that same team the following year. He's not going to go to a team that won't do that to him.
No.
So
I don't see it.
This might be a bidding war in regards to what the Raiders are trying to get out of him, what the Raiders are trying to get the most out of him, or where Adams wants to go. It could come down to a lot of factors.
Of course.
It might be very similar to the Ayuk situation where he just picks and chooses and he's very picky about where he wants to go. But as we know so far, he wants out. He said he prefers to be out. He has officially requested a trade away from the Las Vegas Raiders. And because of that, I am begging Omar Khan to get the job done. It is very rare that this falls into your lap. This opportunity falls into your lap again.
And you can't mess out up on that. Now, just like the Ayuk situation, my expectations were low in that situation. And same with this Adams situation, my expectations are going to be low.
Now, I was different. During the Ayuk situation, I was getting my hopes up too high. Like, I was getting...
Very.
Yes.
I know.
Because the more things escalated, the closer we got, the more I thought it was going to happen.
And I think that a big part of that was because of how social media was playing it out.
Sure.
How they were hyping it up.
This one, I'm not gonna go through that again. As a Steelers fan, I'm not gonna go through that hope again.
No.
But what I am gonna do is I'm going to pressure and I'm going to beg Omar Khan to get this done. The idea of it is fascinating. The idea of it is like, please, let's get this guy. Let's get him in the Berg.
Not just the idea, but the possibility of it is absolutely 100% real.
Exactly. But as we stand right now, I don't view the Steelers as the top destination because of, the Saints and what they have and the Jets and what they have and what they can offer. I don't view the Steelers as the top destination.
So expectations for this situation with the Steelers is low, but I still do hope that Omar Khan is going to be aggressive at this.
Yes.
Because Omar Khan, he has a tendency already of being very aggressive.
Yes.
Especially at the wide receiver market this whole offseason
And
before the regular season.
And the thing about Omar Khan is we've been saying it for the last 2 years he's been GM. He does things when it's within reason of the franchise. Like, he has a long-term... He's not making a move.
Like the Raiders did?
Yes. He's not making a move just to make the move. He's making the move while thinking towards the future, having long-term thinking of what the effects could be and, other guys he's going to have to sign and the picks he'd trade away. All those are going to come into factor. Omar Khan is always thinking ahead. So he's going to make a move when it's within reason to better this franchise. And I think that there is a strong possibility. I'm not expecting Adams to be traded to the Steelers, but I am begging, I am pleading to the Steelers, make it happen. The Raiders are actively shopping Davante Adams. The Steelers need to be in the trade talks. They need to do anything and everything possible to get this guy to Pittsburgh. They have everything to trade for him.
Yeah.
They have the picks. They have the capital. They have the cap space. They can afford him. They can afford all this. Yes, he's going to be 32. He's still playing at a high level.
His age does not worry me.
They can restructure. They can rework. They can give him a new contract for the next 2 years. By the end of the contract, he'll be 34.
Yeah. And just imagine the pairing of...
You would have George Pickens and Davante Adams.
Took it right out of my mouth. Took it right out of my mouth. That is a deadly wide receiver duo.
How do you not do everything in your power?
And the way that Justin Fields has been playing thus far, the way that he's carrying the team on his back, the way that he's been performing, why would you not give that a chance?
Well, you also look at it. Look at it as an offense as a whole. You got Arthur Smith for the next 3 years, including this year.
Yeah.
So he'll be the offensive coordinator after this season for another 2 years.
Uh-huh.
You have an incredibly young offensive line where the majority of that line is under rookie deals. Broderick, Fatanu, Mason McCormick, Spencer Anderson, Zach Frazier, Sayamalu's under contract for another year, right? You have an incredibly young offensive line that will be, for the most part, intact under rookie deals. You have George Pickens that should be getting extended after next year. And yes, we can afford both Adams and Pickens. We can do that. We have Muth we just extended. Like, we're going to have what we have on offense for the next couple years, the majority of it. And they're only going to get better as the system grows, as they all grow, because it's still very young.
Yeah.
Will Fields be here depending on how he keeps doing? Probably. We'll see. But what I'm envisioning is you look at this offense, you look at everything we have for the young guys from a contractual aspect, from a system and everything. Everyone that you have right now, or the majority of everyone, will still remain. So you add Adams to that group, and you make a full go and rebuild this offense. Because the bodies you have now, that is the vision for building this offense. You already have those guys for the next couple years. You add Adams to that group. How do you not? Now, again, I don't expect it, but I am begging the Steelers to do it.
It's still not going to stop us from hoping for the best and hoping that it does happen and just envisioning the future of the Steelers offense, because that's what the Steelers need if they want to be threatening through the NFL for years to come.
And the way I see it, Mike Tomlin has his final contract, and I do believe it will be his final contract. You know, he's here for another, 3-4 years under contract since he just got extended. We got Watt still in his prime. Hayward's not getting any younger. Highsmith in his prime. Herbig's a dog. We got a stacked linebacking group. We got still a very young secondary. Like, we have a legitimate chance of being a contender as long as everyone lives up to the pedigree and the coaching. Please, for God, the coaching steps the fuck up.
Yeah.
You add Adams to make that possibility stronger.
You do.
That's what Omar Khan's doing.
And right there, you make the Steelers a legitimate threat, and not only the division, but the conference and throughout the entire NFL.
Because you look at the AFC, the majority of their offenses are strong. The Ravens' offense is strong. The Chiefs' offense, when healthy, with Mahomes, is strong. The Bills' offense, for the most part, is strong. The Bengals, when they're on point, they're strong. You have to compete. You have to have a similar offense to compete against those teams, those contenders, right? When everyone is up to degree, they're contenders. You got to add more to the offense to compete against those guys.
You're not
Adding
doing that.
Adams,
You're not doing that with one wide receiver.
Adding Adams to that group will allow them to make that jump, to be a part of that core, be a part of that group, to be a part of that group of teams in the conference.
Of course.
So this is a trade the Steelers have to make, man. They nearly had it. Omar Khan was incredibly close with Ayuk. It fell flat because Ayuk didn't want to be here ultimately. Adams, we don't know where he wants to go, but he wants out. If you have the opportunity to get him and they have the financials to please Adams, you get it done.
And keep in mind, I do want to throw this out there before we forget. On the tweet of Adams on the Up and Adams show, Cordell Patterson replied and said, sounds like he wants to be a Steeler, as he tagged the official Steelers Twitter.
I love Cordell Patterson.
It goes to show that Patterson wants him to come along.
This guy's already a Steelers legend. Give him a long-term contract at that point, dude. Seriously.
He can stay as long as Arthur Smith's contract is. I don't care. As long as he's implying and he's saying, hey, why not come join the team? Why not join the group? Why not join what we're trying to bring together?
Yeah.
I'm all open for that.
So this is just the beginning of this saga. This will go on for potentially, most likely, the entire month of October until we reach the deadline. And Lord knows what else is going to come out. What other news is going to come out, who's going to be in the sweepstakes, how close they're going to be, what they're offering, what Adams wants, how that's going to go in the organization with the Raiders. Lord knows what all is going to happen within the next month or so. Maybe less than that. But the saga is just beginning. And with the saga beginning, us, the Steel Twins, are begging Omar Khan and the Steelers to get it done. You get it done. And for those saying he's old and he has a tough contract, listen, Adams is still an elite weapon.
I'd rather take a 32-year-old wide receiver in Davante Adams than a man that honestly shouldn't even be a wide receiver too in Van Jefferson.
Dude, the Steelers need a needle mover. That's what Adams is, still at his age. And again, the Steelers can easily fix out the financials. They can afford it. They are projected to have $75 to $80 million in cap space next year, and that's before potentially extending Najee or Warren or Daniels or Fields maybe, or whoever else we have as free agents. The Steelers can afford it, so I'm asking the Steelers, get it done.
Let's do it.
We got a second chance here. I don't expect it, but that's not going to stop me from getting my hopes up, and for me really hoping the Steelers get this done. That's what I really want, man. At the end of the day, we got to improve this offense. We got to give Fields more weapons, and we got to boost this receiving room.
Yeah, a month into the football season, nobody has stepped up but Pickens.
No.
So, we need that guy.
You knew that after week 1. We know that even more now.
We need that guy. Adams, him being available now as the top receiver in the trade market, dude, he can be that guy.
And before we get on out here, I'll say this. Imagine Roman Wilson sitting under Adams and Pickens with Coach Zach Asani as the wide receiver.
You're telling me Zach Asani wouldn't love Davante Adams?
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
You're telling me the Steelers and Omar Khan wouldn't want to insert Davante Adams with his experience, his leadership, how vocal he is? And this guy's not a drama queen. Not like when people said that Ayuk is a drama queen, he stirs up drama and whatnot. Adams doesn't do that.
No, he's not.
Adams said himself, he's not the guy that stirs the pot and starts shit up. No. He puts his head down and he gets to work, no matter the situation. He's done that for years, and I'm sure, and obviously right now it has reached its boiling point. He's tired of it, and nobody can blame him.
Yes. So Adams will be traded. I think everyone expects that. He will be traded. There's no way this is going to be rekindled. To where? Time will tell. This is just the beginning, but Steelers get it done. They need to be in the sweepstakes, and they need to do everything in their power to get this guy. At the end of the day, here we go, Steelers. We'll see what happens, but strengthen the wide receiver room, and let's bring this guy to the Berg. Go get Adams. That might be the new sign. Go get Adams.
It'll be up before you know it.
Let's know what you guys think in the comments below. Would you guys trade Adams or trade for Adams? Where do you think he goes? What would you trade for him? I still think a third. I think a third is perfect. Anything higher, it really depends. Maybe a second. Maybe. But I don't know. A third just fits right. Let us know your guys' thoughts. Here we go, Steelers. Go get Adams. See you guys in the next one.
And as always, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you later.
Peace!